What's going on, guys? I'm going to do an update on the Bitcoin price right now. I just want to clean this up a little bit just so that we can discuss what's going on, what I was thinking about, what I think could happen now, and see where the price is heading. So, the last video we were talking about, I don't know when I last made a video on Bitcoin, but I was talking about a nice bounce off of this area down here, and I kind of had this drawn in like this. So this was the support, and this was the resistance, like this. And I was talking about it being a falling wedge inside potentially a larger, which this originally was right here, our broadening wedge. So rising, broadening wedge right here. What happened? We chopped around, finding resistance in this area. We had a pump and then rejection at 23,477, which dropped us down to 21,327. This is a support that ended up getting drawn in from this line and a support here. So once we started chopping around quite a bit up in this range, you can see my secondary white trend line of resistance off of this wick, this wick, this wick. And then we had a couple areas of support right here and here, which eventually I drew a trend line off of this and this to find what the pattern was. Now, drawing that out, you can clearly see that this is a rising wedge. Now, I started talking about a short in this Bitcoin price and how we could see a low of 23,477 when we were up at this range. If we look on my trading view, I just posted a few things because I'm starting to get a little bit long in this stock market. This was where I posted it, right about here, looking for 23.4. And I also was just saying how I'm looking for a pullback in this area based off of the triple divergences that we were having. I was originally drawing it as a symmetrical triangle, but later, as we started falling, I started seeing this wick here and so on and so forth. Anyway, if you look at the RSI, you can see the divergences that we were having. Where was it? In the daily? Well, the daily is a very big divergence. You can see we came up here to 23.6 at this point here, and then the second high we did was at 25.3, and that was right here. So pretty clear bearish divergence in the trend, which has now been playing out. Now, when you're in a bear trend and you have bearish divergence, the drops are pretty nasty. They can be upwards of, or downwards rather, of a drop from here to here. That's a 32% drop to a 35% drop from a bearish divergence, which is why bearish divergence can definitely be a scary thing. Even here, a drop of 27%. So, needless to say, when you're in a bear market, I'm not saying we're not, but when you're in a bear market and you get bearish divergence, you can see nasty drops. We've seen bearish divergence now on Bitcoin here. We saw bearish divergence right there, and that dropped us not very much. And now we just saw bearish divergence here. Now, this could still continue playing out, but what I'll be looking at, if you look down to a 15-minute time frame, is my resistance here. So what I did was, you can see this red arrow, I put a short in on Bitcoin at 24,229 last night, and I was looking to take all my profits, or 60% of my profits, down at 23,477, but I did end up taking them earlier, and there's a reason why. If you look down on the 1 minute, when we got down into this area, there's a very clear double bottom happening right here. So right at this point, we made a higher low finally. And I also had this downtrending resistance, but I believe I just cut it because I saw that double bottom, which was right around here. You can see this double bottom. And you can also see that I have this downtrending channel here on the 15-minute from this wick, rejection, support, rejection, support, rejection, support, right? So that kind of continued. Then we went sideways. We had a rally that came back up, double topped on the same area. This was where I started my short, was right here as a back test of this rising wedge in the dotted lines. I know this isn't like the easiest to look at. The chart looks kind of messy, but hopefully you guys can see the rising wedge support. Right here, wick, support, support. And then we finally broke it after support, support, support. We ripped back up, and then we started breaking down, and then we came up, and we couldn't close any candle bodies back above 24,229. We were just getting multiple wicks. So that's where I put the short in, put a stop loss up above this last lower high, 24,500, and we rolled over, we rejected, and we fell down, and we made a nice bounce off of 23.8. We came back up, we got another rejection, the same area, couldn't close candle bodies above 24,200, and we wicked to 24,229, and then we finally saw the drop. Now, after this drop, we started to make what was starting to look like, to me, rising support right here, and then we were starting to roll over here. But what I was kind of looking at was, if this rolled over and got a bounce, it was possible that we could actually end up having a double bottom, which is exactly what's been going on. I wish I made this idea up a little while ago. But you can also see on the resistance, even if you just go off of these wicks, you're getting very tight here. So this could have been a breakdown to go down to my original lowest support. But the thing that gave me the kind of confirmation that this was going to pop to the upside short term here is this falling channel that I placed in here. Had a breakout, we came back in, and then we broke out of it again. Then we started kind of making a pattern here, and now we're breaking to the upside. So where are we again? We're back at the 24,229. This is the same resistance that we just went over, that we rejected, found some lower support to see if we could get some better momentum, and potentially could break above. If Bitcoin can actually get above, this could mean a lot for me, because another thing that I did notice is the last time we were making this choppy, ugly, rising broadening wedge, eventually we lost the support, zoom in, chopping, lost the support, came back tested as resistance, and then we dropped to the next support that we double bottomed on. We ripped back up, and we tested the upper resistance of the same rising broadening wedge. But what did we do this time? We came down and potentially found support on that. The trend line's not perfect. Maybe that trend line isn't in there perfectly. If we delete some stuff, maybe we can make it a little bit cleaner. It'll be an easier overall chart if I just get rid of some of this stuff. So give me a quick second. If you guys are liking this so far, please leave me a like. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. So let's go off of these wicks. Yes, you don't have these wicks drawn in perfectly. It's a really choppy chart, so it is a little bit challenging. But if you go off of this, you can kind of see that we had this wick that came down here, which could be, there could be confluence in that as well. So if we raise this up to that wick right there, boom, on that wick, and then these two wicks, it's choppy, right? So this isn't going to be the easiest thing to do. But it is something to think about, because when we lost this and back tested it as resistance right here, that was what initiated the drop. So this could have confluence here. Then we came down, we back tested it, we rallied, we came down, we back tested it, and now we're rallying. So holding this as support is going to be pretty good. Now, people are going to be watching this 24,300 level, because that was potentially the rising wedge, but I think we might have already potentially hit the target. Maybe not. Usually the target of a rising wedge is the bottom of the wedge, which is 23,400 to 23,370, but it looks like we're already starting to break up. So now the question will be, will Bitcoin be able to get back above this 24,229 to area? So if you put this support box in, this will give us a pretty good area to see if we're going to be able to potentially get up here, flag, and get above. You can also put like a yellow line on where all these candle bodies closed for like a little bit of a better, shorter term scalp, but we still have to keep an eye on this 24,235. If you look down on a 5-minute, you can see right now this 5-minute body is right now trying to close above 24,154. This yellow line, you remember, this was an area of candle bodies not closing on the 4-hour above. Was it the 4-hour? Well, I think it was on the hourly. Yeah, on the hourly. This is where it shows the most clear. So we want to see an hourly candle body open and close above the 24,154 to confirm anything. You can see a 15-minute starting to push above. We could just end up getting rejection and then coming back down if we can't get above this. If we can start poking our head above here and finding support, then we could actually be looking at hopefully reclaiming what looked like a rising wedge. This was the support of the rising wedge. So there is some work to do between 24,300 and 24,150. But I would like to see us reclaim this 24,150. Bounce off 24,150. We lost it there. I'm just trying to see if it has any other confluence. It's not the cleanest look, but it was an area here of resistance. We tried to get above here, somewhere around here, right in this area, 24,140. Tried to get above, used it as resistance, and then we broke up. We closed above it. We came back. We back tested it, and we continued on our rally. And then we fell back down. We never really closed below it. I think there's a point where we dipped to it again later on here. Right here, we lost it as support. We fell all the way back down, came back up, and then rejected on it multiple times like we talked about before. And it's just kind of, it seems like a random level. Maybe you got to put it up here because we didn't close candle bodies below. But like I said, it's hard to get an exact price point. I'm just trying to see what the most logical thing is. Maybe 24,200 probably makes sense. So now where are we at? Probably at 24,200. And that's probably where we're getting resistance right now. I wouldn't be surprised. Yes, that's pretty close to what we're doing right now. So we have to see some candles close above this area, which you can see spinning top, starting to get a little bit of a rejection right now. If we fell back in, we still have support down here at 23.8. So it's possible that we just come back down to that area and we chop around. But we do need to get above. I mean, hopefully it doesn't end up turning into like a big bear flag of some sort. But this is going to be our chop range for now, in my opinion. Whether this turns out to be a bear flag or if we can actually reclaim above, that's going to be the biggest thing for Bitcoin right now. But for now, this is our range right here. The range is from 23,600 to 24,250. So once we can get back and reclaim that 24,200 to 24,250, this should give us an idea of what Bitcoin wants to do. Does it end up making some kind of double bottom there? Then we can come back and maybe try to retest. Now, if we look on a daily, obviously that doesn't look too good of a candle, but that can always flip back around if we can reclaim this. This daily candle actually won't close below that line. So that'll be something to watch. And let's check the EMAs. So right now, our 4-hourly 50 EMA is roughly around that 24,160. And our 21 EMA is up here at 24,460. Let's Let's see the daily. Daily, we're still above our 21 EMA, which is down at 23.2. And our 50, which is down here at the support line perfectly at 21,750, which is where I was originally expecting us to go. Maybe we still will go there, but it's possible for now we're going to get a little bounce because it's obviously already happening. And the biggest thing that we know is the 50 and the 200 EMA up here on the weekly is at, the 50 is at 24.6 and the 200 is at 25,000 even. So we need to get a weekly candle close above that level. Once we can do that, then our 100 EMA is at 35.4. So I would love to see us start to close candle bodies above the 50. Before, we were above the 50, and we wouldn't close any candle bodies below the 50 until we finally did. Candle body below the 50 caused a drop, and then we retested it as resistance and still continued to fail. And then same with the 100 and fail. So we never came back and back tested the 100. Maybe we still have to come back and back test the 100 and then continue on the trend down. And that'll give everyone those lows that they were looking for. But right now, it's possible that we actually could potentially try to come back up eventually over the coming weeks and months and retest that 100 and then get the rejection. Or maybe this is just going to be the easiest damn short of everyone's life and we just reject here and it goes down. I don't think money is going to be that easy to be made. If it is, well, just start loading in with all your shorts on an average of 25,000 to, 25.4 or whatever, and just keep your stop loss above 25.8 or 25.9, and then we have the easiest short possible. But I don't believe that that's going to be the case. There's no way markets give you money that easily. A lot more people, in my view, are looking at a bearish move down from here, and maybe it'll psych everyone out. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody's looking for bullish moves and everyone thinks it's going to go to 30K, and I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think that the Bitcoin price is going to be in the next two to 3 weeks? Hourly EMAs don't look good right now, but sometimes you'll notice that these are delayed. So sometimes you can get all these crosses and then you end up just seeing a very small move down, and then you end up getting a nice pump. So right now we have the 50 and the 100 on the hourly here that are still coming down, and we're getting hourly resistance on the 200 EMA. Maybe that'll end up giving us our next leg down if we get a rejection here. And if this does end up continuing to hold support, we end up putting in a double bottom here and trying to retest some previous area of resistance again, because Bitcoin is resilient rather, and it does like to come back up and try again. So it's possible that it does. Well, then we'll have to figure out what's going on with the price afterwards. So this is kind of a long video and not really that exciting because Bitcoin is kind of boring right now. But I do like to see that we're getting a bounce. I do want to see some support being found above these levels up here, and that could give us a little more of a signal. I don't really look at EMAs too much. I just look at the price action. We want to see reclaim of support above 24,145 to 24,180. So hopefully this all made sense, and we'll see what happens. If we do get rejection here, watch that low support down at 23.5 to 23.6. If we start closing candle bodies and rejecting there, then our next support below would be all the way down here back at 21.8. And that'll be another good potential short entry if we start resisting here and we fall. So we'll have to see how everything goes. Lastly, I'll probably look at the DXY just because the DXY is getting rejected at a level that I was hoping it was going to get rejected at, which is 104.5 XLO. No, but this DXY chart is pretty easy. It had a huge uptrend that broke, and then it's been in this downtrending resistance channel, and we finally broke out of that downtrending resistance. But what most people are not looking at is that the previous support we had was right here. You can see this was heavy resistance. Resistance, rejection. Resistance, breakthrough. We came back, we back tested it as support, roughly right here, 104,642. We ripped to the upside and we continued until we finally broke the trend and we came down. We tried to hold this as support, then finally candle body closed below, came back, rejected off it multiple times, and we fell down. Then we had a bear flag that actually broke down and we bought back up. And now we're actually trying to put in a move to get us back above 104,642. That's exactly where we're getting rejected from right now. It's not really making any type of pattern for me to call anything. Maybe you could draw a wick there. I'm not a big fan of doing like anything like that right now, but maybe you have like a little bit of a rising wedge of some sort. I'm not too concerned about the pattern. All I want to know is, are we going to get back above here, or are we going to reject and have to come back and retest some lows? You can see the biggest support on this chart. Well, we had two wicks that came down to 102.6, but mainly we came down to 103. And if DXY rejects here, comes back to 103 and can't close candle bodies below 103, then this ends up turning into a big W pattern that could rocket everything up and change everything. So that's why, for me, I think that DXY should come back down here, and this will give the rally in the market one last rally, potentially. And then if this thing does decide to double bottom and rip through, then this thing could start getting some rip power and come back up, and maybe has to retest these highs. Not 100% sure how that's going to play out yet. I'm kind of hoping for the opposite scenario. I want to see this thing reject here, come down, and get back into this potential flag here, and it ends up just making another potential lower high of some sort that turns this into a larger downtrending channel, and then it can continue down in its downtrend. But until that happens, it's hard to say. That's where I'm hoping, but obviously that would be good for everything. But for now, it kind of looks like it's trying to break out. So until it's above 104.6, it's a very slow, boring mover. But right now, it is kind of working its way up to that area. I had 104.5 as a resistance, but it is looking like it's getting a small rejection here. We'll have to see if it ends up just rejecting here, or if it's just flagging to potentially move up and retest that. We'll be watching that over the coming days. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I want to do. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care.